Recording. Bet. Let's get this show on the road, man. I'm excited, man. Like I was just saying, last Monday, call it a year. Been doing these joints consistently since 2017. Since September 2017, we've been doing it consistently, and it don't feel like it's been that long though. Time flies by so fast. Just think about this year, 2020. It feels like yesterday my boy Kobe died. You dig what I'm saying? It feels like yesterday we got an alert saying that the NBA was shut down because of the virus. It feels like yesterday that they shut the entire world down. It feels like yesterday. You feel what I'm saying? Time flies by so fast. And if you don't take advantage of opportunities, if you don't really seize the moment that you have, you're going to look up in 5 years, been done passing, you're still in the same position that you were in 5 years prior because you didn't take advantage of the time. And so since we're at the end of the year, the first question I want to ask you is, in 2020, this year, for the past roughly 350 days or so, 60 days or so, have you left it all on the line? Like, did you leave it all on the line in 2021? Did you, or in 2020, or did you max out your potential in 2020? Really think about that. Because that's a tough question when you really think about it. Because somebody out there, you want to say yes so bad. You want to say, yes, I did everything that I can. Somebody out there wants to say, man, I did everything I could and I still didn't get there. Somebody wants to say that. And you know what I would tell you? Because I'm in savage mode, you a damn liar. You didn't leave it all on the line. You didn't leave it all on the table. You want to know how I know that? It's scientific proof, evidence that you didn't leave it all on the table. The human mind, right, functions at less than 10% of its capacity. You never, as a human being, can ever max out your potential. No matter how hard you try. You want to know what's crazy? Even Kobe Bryant, no matter how great he was, Mike Tyson, Savage, no matter how great we saw him as being, do you understand that Mike Tyson still didn't box to his fullest potential? You do know that Michael Jordan, even though he's the greatest player of all time, he still didn't play the game to his fullest potential. That is scary. That's scary. Like, think about your favorite person at doing something. Basketball, football, Venus and Serena tennis. David, as great as David is at what he does, David today just made $866,000 today. That's great. But do you know that this dude is still not operating at his full capacity? So it would be very, what's the word I'm looking for? It will be very, I can't think of my word right now. I was trying to come with a great word for that, little right, but it'll come back to me later. But for right now, I'm going to say futile. That's a good one. It'll be very futile, minuscule, weird of you to think that everything you did this year was your max. It was all you had. You didn't leave it all on the line. You didn't leave it all on the field this year. But my question is, why? Why didn't you? Why didn't you leave it all on the field? And I had to ask myself this same question this morning. Like, bro, why didn't you do everything that you think you could have done? Why didn't you leave it all on the field? Why didn't you travel just a little bit more? Why didn't you serve a little bit more? And ask yourself that question. Like, why? What stopped you? What hindered you from going all out, maxing out your potential? For a lot of people, the reason why, number one, the first reason is because their goal isn't big enough. That's the reason for a lot of people. That's not the reason for everybody, but that's the reason for a lot of people. Their goal just isn't big enough. And if your goal isn't big enough, you won't lean into the opportunity far enough because your goal isn't that big. So you got to make your goals so big that you're willing to lean as far as you possibly can into the opportunity to get everything out of it. That's the reason some people didn't leave it on the line. Some people didn't leave it on the line because they rather serve their excuses than serve, success. They'd rather serve their excuses. And we talked about this in November. You got to be able to say no to your excuses and say yes to your goal. But what happens to a lot of us, we become slaves to our excuses. And we believe that our excuses do serve us because they sound good to us. But have you noticed that your excuses don't sound good to the person that you're telling them to? You ever notice that? How somebody look at you when you give an excuse? The way that they look you should be a direct indicator that your excuse is not serving you. But where do excuses normally come from? I believe the reason why a lot of people give excuses is because of apathy. Apathy is the womb that gives birth to excuses. And apathy is you or somebody being unmotivated, uninspired, uninterested, whatever the case may be. And when we begin to feel uninspired, uninterested, demotivated, that opens up a wound. And what comes out of that wound is an excuse. We have an excuse to BS. We have an excuse to not leave it all on the line. We have an excuse to play around because we're uninterested. And oftentimes what follows apathy is a loss of belief. Like a straight loss of belief. If you looked at the XRP chart today, you would see that thing took a tumble to the downside. That's how people look when they have allowed apathy to give birth to excuses and their belief looks just like the XRP chart from today. If you ain't seen it, go on and look at it. B says she's up 1,200 pips on that trade. But that's what it looks like. But you know what? Some people, the reason why they don't go hard is because of procrastination. And that's where I got attacked. There were times where I could have went, or there was things I could have did in the business. There were things that I could have did way ahead of time in the business, but I found a way to procrastinate. And procrastination is the arrogant assumption that God is going to give you another chance to do it another day. How arrogant of me to think that this business couldn't be gone tomorrow. How arrogant of me to think that anything could happen and I don't have that opportunity to go hard as I possibly can. So I made a committed decision, not just a decision, but a committed decision. And I need you to make this decision, this committed decision with me. All basically 300 of us on the line. I need everybody to make this decision with me, this committed decision. And here's why you got to make this committed decision. Because in 2020, you experienced rain. For the majority of us, we experienced rain. Like everybody's 2020 wasn't just beautiful. Everybody wasn't in the pandemic, in the midst of a pandemic. That wasn't everybody's situation. Everybody didn't have the best, growth in their business. Everybody didn't have success trading this year. That wasn't everybody's situation. The majority of people experienced a whole lot of rain. But rain only comes, I need you to really get this, rain only comes to show you what your house is built on. So you have two builders. You have one builder that builds the house on sand. You have another builder that builds his house on rock. Sand, obviously, we build a house on sand when the wind comes, when the rain comes, when the challenges come, when the pullbacks come, when other companies come, when all this stuff comes. If my house wasn't built on truth, if my house wasn't built on rock, then the wind, the rain can blow the house down. But that same wind, that same rain, the same waves that hit another house next door that's built on truth, that house is going to stand the test of time. So the rain that you experience, it wasn't all bad, but it came to show you what your house is really built on. Do you really believe? Do you really have faith, or do you have optimism? See, most people don't have optimism. Most people don't have faith. What they have is optimism. And people can get those mixed up. See, faith is, I know that God is going to work it out. Optimism is, it'll work out some type of way. You see the difference in that? Faith is, God's going to work it out. Faith is, it's already done. Optimism is, well, if this happens, then, I'll go chairman. If this person joins, then, if this person doesn't leave my business, then I have a better chance to go chairman. If this happens, then this will happen. See, faith is, I don't care what happens, it's still going to happen. You feel what I'm saying? Do you see the difference in that? So you, in 2021, what you got to understand is, before we can talk about this committed decision you have to make the decision to have your house, everything that you're going to build on in 2021. You have to make, number one, the decision to build that house on a rock, build the house on truth. And the truth is basically your word, your word, whatever that may be for you, whatever your goal is, whatever your vision is, and you back that thing up with, all things are possible to those that believe. Now, your only job to do is just believe and keep building your house, understanding that the rain is going to come. It has to come. You want to know how I know the rain got to come? I'm about to read it to you. Okay, here we go. Boom. I just found it. I need this to make sense to you. Because like two calls ago, I was talking about, God is about to perform his word, and that his word, it has to come to pass. It will always accomplish where he sets it out to go. So today, as I was looking at that exact same verse, I actually looked up right above it. And what it says is, my word is like the snow and the rain that come down from the sky to water the earth. They make the crops grow and provide seed for planting and food to eat. So my question for you is, what if all the rain that you experience was to only grow something on the inside of you? God damn it. I could run. I could just run. I could literally run. You just heard that? Did you hear that? Did you hear that? I ain't even done with you yet. So I also will be the word that I speak. It will not fail to do what I plan for it. It will do everything I send it to do. Oh my goodness. That's crazy. That's crazy. That's Isaiah 55:10. That's Isaiah 55:10, church. So the rain, it only comes to reveal and pull things that are on the inside of you, outside of you, to reveal to you what your house is built on, and also to make the crops grow, to provide seed and planting for food to eat. So it's also to cultivate things on the inside of you as well. My word is like the snow and the rain. And it will do what I tell it to. That's the word. So now watch this. Now that you understand that, the committed decision that you have to make with me in 2021 and 21 is to go savage mode. Can everybody make that committed decision with me? Can everybody make that committed decision with me to say that I'm going in savage mode? Like, I am committed to savage mode. Because we already have come to the realization that we have not left everything on the line yet. We've already come to the realization that we did not max out our potential in 2020. We've already come to that realization. So what if we came to the realization that even though we may never meet our potential, because we're unlimited beings, we're infinite beings, created by the infinite. So because we can probably never match or get to our fullest potential, how about we create an image of what us maxing out our potential will look like, and then we walk into that every single day? How about that? How about you create what because think about this. When people are about to do great things, when people are about to defy the odds, when people are about to make history, have you noticed that a lot of them have alter egos? Have you noticed that before Clark Kent could do anything that was worth noting, he had to go into a phone booth and become Superman? Did you notice that Kobe Bryant, after he came out of his situation of loss and his situation of being embarrassed in front of the whole entire world, did you know that out of that situation came the Black Mamba? So what if for 1 year, you just flipped the switch and said, you know what? I'm going savage mode for 1 year. And you do everything that's required. And when you think of a savage, you know what you think about. You know what you think about: somebody going extremely hard, somebody that's wrecking it. If you look up the definition of savage, one of the words that it gives you is fierce. Fierce. That's how you have to be in 2021. You literally got to flip that switch and go harder than you ever have been before. Here's why. Because currently you desire something that you have never had before. Currently you desire something that you have never had before. I'm making you the host right now, Ebony. So for you to get the thing that you have never had before, you got to understand that it's going to require you to do something that you've never done before. And the thing that we have already agreed on is that you have not been going hard as you possibly can. So what if you just flipped the switch in 21 and said, I'm going savage mode? Because all it takes is a mental shift for you to change your situation. All it takes is a mental shift for you to say, you know what, I'm tired of where I am right now. I want to go there. That's all it takes. It just takes a committed decision. Committed meaning I'm going to stay true to this no matter what happens. I'm going to stay true to this no matter who leaves the organization. I'm going to stay true to being a savage mode no matter who's joining, who leaving, who getting on the call. Don't matter. I am in savage mode because there are people that are depending on me to bring something back home when I'm in the field. Yep. And who would I be to not have illustrations? So you know me, I'm chilling today. I'm like, dang, who's somebody that's a savage in the Bible? David. Man, David was a savage. And as I was reading today, I just came up with a couple points, man, to help you understand, you know, Savage mode. And the first key, let me tell you this about savage mode, first of all. The way I got it anyway. You only go into savage mode. The only reason you go into savage mode is because you already believe that the thing that you're about to go after is already yours. First and foremost, that's the only reason you will go into savage mode. I'm not going in savage mode to get something. I'm going into savage mode to manifest what's already mine. And I believe that is mine so much that I'm willing to work harder than I ever have to manifest the thing that I believe has been mine the whole entire time. See, there's a difference in that type of work. See, it's a difference in me working to go out there and get something, or to go out there and prove something, or to go out there and earn something. But when I work from a place that I'm only going this hard because I already know it's mine, you are guaranteed to win the battle. Guaranteed. So since we're talking about David, the first thing I have to ask you before you can enter savage mode and to really maximize on savage mode is, how's your heart? Because if you know anything about David, the only reason why David was selected is because he had his heart in his heart in the right place. Like when he was about to get selected, God told Samuel, don't look at his height. Don't look at his appearance. You know, man's judged by the outer appearance, but me, big God, I look at the heart. So it's not necessarily about your past performance. It's not necessarily about how many people you have in your business right now at this moment. It's never about that. What it's really about is, how's your heart? Can you be trusted with 6 figures? Can you be trusted with a dope trading account? Can you be trusted with all the great things that are already yours? Can you be trusted with it? Are you going to do right with it? How's your heart towards other people? Because the only reason why David was selected and the only reason why David went to the levels that he went to was because of his heart. I could get so deep right now, but I'm not. I would really love to really unpack that and get really, really deep, but I'm not going to go there. Just understand. Okay. The family said dive deeper. So I'm gonna unpack it because this is the last call of the year. I'm gonna just go ahead and unpack it. I want to, this will prove to you that it's about the hard work more than anything. You got 2 kings. This is really deep. But again, it proves the heart. You got 2 kings. You got you got Saul, and you got David. 2 kings that both did wrong. Saul, he was just prideful, egotistical, and he basically did something too soon. Like he did something premature. God told him to wait or Samuel told him to wait to do something. He did it premature. And because he did it premature, he lost the kingdom. Now, what he did doesn't really matter right now, but understand in the grand scheme of things, it wasn't as wrong as what David did. David, on the other hand, kills, murders one of his commanders in chief because, X-rated, he slept with the person's wife. That lady got pregnant. Her name was Bathsheba. She got pregnant. David kills, the Bible is juicy if you didn't know. David kills her husband. Now my question is, how in the world does Saul just do something prematurely and David commits adultery, lies, and murders somebody, and he still reigns as king? His bloodline stayed in kingship, while Saul, on the other hand, had his whole kingdom torn from him. And as I began to just research and look into it, what I came to understand is that it wasn't about what he did. It was about the posture of his heart. Mama Nicole just put it in the chat. He had true repentance, and repentance is a heart posture type of thing. So that should further let you know, for you to enter savage mode and create the success that you really want to see is going to be based on your heart, because David was a real savage, but the only reason why that real savage was even selected was because of his heart. That might be too deep for you. Do you need a life jacket, or are you okay? Let me know, are you okay? Or do you need a life jacket? Y'all good? Okay, cool. Because you got to understand that. Because listen, we talking about real deal, you changing your life in 21. So I can't be shallow with you. I need you to really get this. Savage mode, the first key, the first point to that is you having the heart, right? You having the heart posture of a winner, the heart of a chairman, the heart of a 7-figure earner, a heart for service, a heart for help, a heart that's after God. That you feel what I'm saying? How's your heart? And then the second thing that I noticed about David, the savage in David, is that David had this crazy willingness to just serve. So maybe savage mode is not just all about me just, savaging and going crazy hard and just doing, crazy amounts of work. Yeah, we're going to talk about that, but maybe it starts with my heart, because David was only selected because of his heart. And the reason why the heart was so important was because God knew that he was going to have to put David in the position of servantship. So maybe you can't get to where you want to go if your heart isn't right. And the reason why your heart got to be right is because you're going to have to serve other people's vision before you got your own. You may have to serve somebody else's organization before you have your own. You may have to just keep serving your way all the way to the top, because that's what David did. You know that David was, Samuel said he will be king when he was like maybe 14, 15 years old, but he actually didn't get into kingship until like 30. Do you know what he was doing in between that time? He was serving somebody that was trying to kill him. Wow. Willingness to serve. So the first thing, I need my heart right. The second thing, with that heart, because it's right, I'm going to have the willingness to serve my organization, serve other people's organization, serve my leaders. Do it. I just want to serve. That's it. You do know that service is one of the keys to greatness. You know that, right? You do know that Jesus literally took his disciples into a room and had dinner with them, knowing he's about to die, and he still served the person that killed him or that set him up to die. Do you know he still cleaned Judas' feet? Even though he knew he would betray him, he still served. But also, what else I noticed about David? What else I noticed about David is that David wasn't limited to the opinions of other people. So you can't be limited to the opinions of other people, because everybody's going to have an opinion about how hard you're going in 2021. Your family might have an opinion about how hard you're going in 2021. They may have an opinion about you being in savage mode. People may have opinions about the little business that you're doing. People may have opinions about you being a Forex trader. People may have opinions about that, but their opinions will not pay your bills. If you get a piece of paper and on that piece of paper, write down other people's opinions and take it to your nearest grocery store, I want to see how many groceries you can buy with that. All right, we'll just write down other people's opinions on a piece of paper and take that to the Gucci store. Let me see how many items from Gucci you can buy with that, other people's opinions. You know what else a savage also does? David, they also see the end from the very beginning, and savages value execution. They see the beginning from the very end, and they value execution. They value being in attack mode. That's what savages do, meaning you can't wait. Yeah, I understand timing is important, but a lot of us, we're not in the position to wait for anything. We just have to go. We just have to attack. And that's what David did. That's what he did. So the first thing that you can take away from savage David the Savage, not 21 Savage, but David the Savage, is that savage had his heart in the right place. His heart was positioned the right way. He didn't want the success for just him. He wanted the success for the whole land. He wanted everybody to prosper. It wasn't just about him being king. It was about the people that he could put in position to do well as well. And then even when he had to sit under somebody that he may have not liked that much, you know what he still did? He still served. Some of us, we sit under people we do like and we still don't serve. My bad. I didn't mean to step on any toes. I'm sorry. But we're talking about savage mode. So the first thing, how's your heart? Second thing, I got to be willing to serve with that heart. That's why I got to have a heart. And then I can't be limited to the opinions of other people. But what I got to do is value execution, and I got to see the end from the very beginning, right? Now, what I want to do is I want to make everything plain for you. Can I do that? Can I make it plain for you so everything that I just said can make complete sense? Because as I was reading this today, I was kind of just like, wow, David was a real savage, like a real savage. Let me prove it to you. Woo. Where we at? Here we go. Where did I want to start at? Because I really didn't want to read this whole thing. I ain't finna read the whole thing. Okay, I'll start right here. So watch this. David is most known for defeating Goliath, right? Goliath was a 9-foot giant that everybody was scared of. David was a 13, 14-year-old boy. There was an army, right? There was I want you to imagine the U.S. Army, the military, getting taunted by a 9-foot giant, and your 13-year-old little cousin comes out there saying that I'm gonna beat the giant. Just put the image in your head so this can make sense to you as to why David is a savage and why everybody on this call has to make the decision to go into savage mode in the year 21 Savage. So as everybody's complaining, as everybody's running around scared at this opposition, at this, I like the word challenge. So when I say Goliath, I want you to just insert your challenge or the challenge that you've previously had, or the thing that's a challenge, but you don't want to say it's a challenge because you're trying to be ultra positive, but you know it's a challenge. Just put that there instead of Goliath. Think about that. David says, remember, he's a kid, 13, 14, 15. He don't got driver's license yet. Don't worry about this Philistine. He didn't even call the challenge by name. That just dropped in my spirit. He didn't even call the challenge by name. He just said, don't worry about this Philistine. Don't worry about this challenge. Maybe y'all didn't catch that how I caught it. But guess what David said? I'll go fight him. Don't worry about this challenge. Don't worry about this Philistine. I'm going to go fight him. And guess what the king says? Don't be ridiculous. There's no way you can fight this challenge, Philistine. Back office. And possibly win. You're only a boy, and he's been a man of war since his youth. But this is where people began to notice that David isn't just a, little cute teenage boy that can play the harp. This is where people realize that he's a savage. But David persisted. I have been taking care of my father's sheep and goats. When a lion or a bear comes to steal a lamb from the flock, listen to this. He's 13. I go after it with a club and rescue the lamb from his mouth. Here's where it gets good. If the animal turns on me, I catch it by the jaw and I club it to death. I have done this to both lions and bears, and I'll do it to this pagan Philistine. God who rescued me from the lion and the bear will also rescue me from this Philistine. He still has not acknowledged the dude's name. Do you understand that too many of us, we put names on everything that we're going through? That wasn't even a part of anything I wanted to say. That just kind of dropped on me. We just name and we just keep talking about what's going on. We name it. And it's a part about, he never announced the dude. He's never said his name. But here's what I really took from this. What you practice in private, this is the gym. What you practice in private, you get praised for in public. Because nobody else saw David showing the plan. Nobody else saw the nights, the traveling. Nobody else saw how many times he spent in his car driving across 8 hours, 6 hours. Nobody saw the flights. Nobody saw the negative bank accounts. Nobody saw any of that. The only thing they saw was the chairman flyer. But what you practice in private, you get praised for in public. See, they didn't know that when David was serving his father, they didn't know when David was in the field serving that he was killing lions and bears. Nobody knew that. But again, what you practice in private, you get praised for in public. To me, that clearly screams savage mode. Don't forget, he was like 14 years old when he did this. And if you go a little bit down, it says he picked up 5 smooth stones from a stream and put them in his shepherd's bag. I'm teaching you about savage mode right now. I want to give you a picture of what savage mode looks like, and you don't think of 21 Savage. He got good music, but I don't want you to think of him. I want you to think of David. He picked up 5 smooth stones from a stream and put them into his shepherd's bag. Then, armed only This is all he had. Armed only with his staff and his sling, he started across the valley to fight the Philistine. You remember how I said that savages see the end from the beginning? I'm about to prove it to you. So I'm gonna just paraphrase some of this. So time is passing, they get close to each other, right? They get up on each other's grill and whatnot. And so Goliath says something, and then David says something. And guess what David says? Today, the Lord will conquer you, and I will kill you and cut off your head. I need you to really follow me, because I'm about to mess you up. You ain't even catch it yet. Today, the Lord will conquer you. I will kill you and cut off your head. But if I rewind, I need you to rewind. It says right here that he picked up 5 smooth stones from a stream, put them into his shepherd's bag, and then armed with only his staff and sling, he started across to fight the Philistine. So radar should start going off. David, how do you think you're going to cut off his head and the only thing you have is a slingshot? I don't know if y'all are really catching it. I see Cliff caught it, but I don't know if everybody else is really catching that, because that's what I mean. Begin with the end in mind. Yeah, I currently don't have a sword, but bro, I'm about to cut your head off. I don't got a sword though. So where does my sword come from? Oh, don't worry about it. Let me keep reading. As Goliath, this is what I was talking about. Savages value execution. As Goliath moved closer to attack, as my challenge got a little bit closer, as the fire got a little bit hotter, as Goliath moved closer to attack, David quickly ran out to meet him. Dang. So you mean to tell me that a 13, 14-year-old little kid wasn't scared of a 9-foot giant? He wasn't scared of what the back office looked like. He wasn't scared of, what people were saying. He wasn't scared at, how many people he currently had that were with him. He knew one thing. He had faith and not optimism. It wasn't, this will work out if, Goliath slips. No, it's going to work out because the same God that saved me from the lion and the bear is the same God that's going to save me from this Philistine. That is what he said. I didn't even paraphrase that. He literally said it. So what if the same God that saved you from your situation that you got out of is the same one that's going to save you in the situation that you're in right now? That's too deep for you. Let me keep going. Oh, I could run. I could really run right now. I could really run. Listen to this. Listen to this. Reaching into his shepherd's bag. Remember what we're talking about. We ain't in church. We talking about savage mode. I just want to give you a real savage that we can take something from. So if you don't know who I'm talking about, just think with me. If it ain't making all the way sense yet, just keep getting on these calls. I promise it'll make sense. But listen to this. Reaching into his shepherd's bag, taking out a stone. He didn't take out. Cliff caught it. Cliff. Oh my God, I love your word. Listen, I'm fighting a giant. Most people will say, let me get like 3 of these joints just in case one misses. I can have 2 more ready because this is a giant. It says, reaching into his shepherd bag, taking out a stone. He hurled it with his sling and hit the Philistine in the forehead. The stone sank in and Goliath stumbled and fell face down on the ground. This is another question that I have. Can you imagine how much practice? Can you imagine how much time? Can you imagine how many times he pulled that slingshot back? Can you imagine how many times he showed the plan? Can you imagine how many times he did that? To have the confidence to take out one stone. He picked up 5, but he only took out 1. Can you imagine how much time, energy, and practice it required for him to pull the slingshot back, even in the midst of adversity, even in the midst of the fire, even in the midst of the pressure? There's a 9-foot challenge, a 9-foot giant in front of me. Do you understand the precision that he had to have to pull the slingshot back and hit him square in his head on the very first pull? That is savage mode. That's savage mode. But you know what? He wasn't done. It says that David triumphed over the Philistine with only a slingshot and a stone, for he had no sword. And then David ran over, pulled Goliath's sword. David used it to kill him and cut off his head. Remember when I said savages see the end from the beginning? I'm going to kill you and I'm going to cut off your head. But yeah, I don't got a sword and I'm going to just use yours because I know I'm going to kill you. Remember, Goliath for you is your challenge, the thing that you've been having a hard time getting to, the rank that you've been having a hard time getting to. Or Goliath could simply be your excuses. And every day I encourage you to go savage mode against your excuses, because if your excuses don't serve you, you no longer need them. You no longer need them. So the decision that we have to make is in 21, we're going to go harder than we ever have before to acquire the things that we never had. And we're going to focus on mastery, right? We're going to focus on mastering our mind, mastering our emotions, mastering the necessary skill sets. Because not only was David a savage, but David was also a master. David was also a master. He had many skills, and that's why they used him to serve, because of the skill sets that he had. And they couldn't find anybody else in the land of Israel. They only could use David for the task that was needed to be done. So David was not just a savage, he was also a master. And because he was a master, that mastery led him to momentum in his belief. And that momentum in his belief led to the manifestation of him killing the Goliath and then cutting off his head with Goliath's own sword. You see how this stuff works? It's all connected. It's all connected. So, man, I could be here all night. I would love to keep going, but I think that was more than enough value. We're going to do a leadership call tomorrow. And when we do this leadership call tomorrow, we about to lay down the foundation for 21. And it's on. It's about to be the greatest year that we've ever experienced together as an organization. And I'm excited for it. I hope you're excited for it. So focus up, family. Let's have an amazing week. Have fun with your family. Celebrate the 2020 that you've had, but more importantly, celebrate the 2021 you're about to have before it even gets here. Like David, before he even got there, he already knew. And so that's what you got to do. You got to celebrate in advance, prepare, plan, and then go out there and perform. That right there was a whole nother training. I ain't going to spend too much time on that. But I love you all. Let's have an amazing week. Oh, call me the jeweler. I'm just full of diamonds. No, I'm just playing. I love you guys. Have a good week.